It's me glands. I've got a slow metabolism. It was the classic excuse for carrying excess weight. But could it actually have been a basis in fact? In the most compelling evidence yet of a link between weight and our genes, scientists in Exeter and Oxford have identified a single common gene which makes its carriers up to 70% more likely to be obese. The research, sponsored by the Wellcome Trust, could even point the way towards a new drug treatment for the severely obese. Here's our science correspondent, Tom Clark.
Slim is sexy, pigging out is shameful, and that's got a lot to do with why dieting is a multi-million-pound industry.
I'm munching on chocolate bars.
Unless it's calculated and calorie controlled, they say it's a moment on the lips, a lifetime on the hips. Or is it?
You'd think it would make sense. The less you eat, the slimmer you become.
A huge new study has found the first conclusive link between weight and our genes. Could the fact that genes alone can make you 70% more likely to be obese spell the death of the diet?
Across the range of body mass index, across the weight range, and across the country and parts of Europe, wherever you were on that scale, this gene altered how fat you were.
Researchers have found genes associated with obesity before, but they've been very rare, found in people dangerously overweight. What makes the discovery of this new gene important is that it's common and strongly linked to body fat. Over 30,000 people were included in the study and only a third lacked the gene. Around half of them had one copy, and on average those people have 1.2 kilograms more body fat than those without. 1 in 6 people had 2 copies of the gene, one from mum and one from dad. Then the effects are, well, large. Those with 2 copies have on average 3 kilos more fat than those who lack the gene. It's the strongest link yet to a risk for obesity. So if being overweight has as much to do with genes as lifestyle, is this the end of dieting and feeling guilty about your weight?
What it means is you've actually got to take more care to bring about the behavioural changes which will help you get rid of the environmental triggers in the first place. And again, ultimately it's back down to being able to change your diet, being able to change your lifestyle. And where the guilt comes in is in terms of having that psychological support and having non-judgmental support systems which enable people to bring about those behavioural changes. And the first step in that is often removing the guilt.
Lola Konstantopoulos suffers from type 2 diabetes, one of several serious diseases associated with obesity. A participant in the study, she now knows she has both copies of the newly discovered gene. Even though it won't change her life, the knowledge means a lot to her.
Well, now I understand why when I'm at the gym 5 days a week and it takes me 1 month to lose 1 pound, I understand why it is. Because I think, you know, why is that? I have friends that go to the gym once a week and, you know, they say, oh, I lost 2 pounds this week or something if they're trying to lose weight. But for me, to maintain the weight I am, I need to go to the gym 5 days a week.
Scientists don't yet know what this gene does, but when they do, it could lead to useful treatments.
Once you start to know a pathway, then there are the possible of drugs being developed. Because we know almost nothing about this particular gene, it's a completely blank book at the moment, but I'm sure that companies are going to try and develop new treatments.
The researchers warn there will be other genes involved in obesity as well as what we eat and how we live. But could the discovery lead to lifestyle diet drugs, prenatal tests for obesity, or simply make us happier about why we are the way we are?
Tom Clark joining us in the studio. Audrey Boss, who describes herself as a reformed serial dieter and has written a book on how people should eat what they want without feeling guilty. From Nottingham, we're joined by Dr. Ian Campbell, who is the medical director of the charity Weight Concern. Well, when I was a kid, my mum used to say, don't stare, it's glands, darling. But then when I grew up, I was told people ate too much. Now, of course, we realise they can't help it.
Well, in fact, it's a combination of the two. We know that genes are responsible for a large part of why people are obese, but we've had the same genes for more than 1,000 years. What's changed over the past 25 years to make so many of us obese has been the environment. We are eating too many high-fat, high-sugar foods. We're not as active as we used to be, and the result is, if you've got those genes, you will become obese.
OK, but isn't the problem, Audrey Boss, that this is actually going to make people feel, well, there's nothing I can do about it, well, so I'm going to give up?
Well, I don't think that's actually the point. I think the point is that we need to have a happy, healthy relationship with food at whatever weight we are. When we manage to eat without the guilt, there was someone you interviewed before who was talking about getting rid of the guilt and having a healthy lifestyle. When we have a healthy lifestyle, and on Beyond Chocolate workshops we see that, we see women changing. It means that you can then avoid going on a diet, but still have a healthy, happy relationship with your body.
But would the gene then tell us... oh, we seem to have lost you there, Ian Campbell. No. Pity, because I was going to ask him a rather... Well, maybe you know. I mean, does this gene mean that you can do nothing about it?
I don't think so. I'm not a scientist, but what I heard was that this gene it's the very first stages. We know very little about it. What I also heard was that it's responsible for something like, is it 3 kilos or 6 kilos? That's about 6 pounds. I mean, that's relatively...
But that's pure fat. But that's pure fat, not just sort of weight. It's horrid stuff.
Absolutely, but most of us have quite a lot of pounds of fat in our body anyway. We need that fat to survive. I don't think it's the end of dieting, and I don't think we need to give up. I think what we need to do is find ways of managing and having a healthy relationship with food rather than depriving ourselves and going on diets to lose weight, which, as we've seen in the last few days, we've had the results of the biggest study ever carried out. 98% of dieters put the weight back on, straight back on, put all the weight they lose straight back on, plus a little more. And that's a lot more unhealthy. That leads to weight problems and heart problems than actually...
We may now have an insight as to why. I'm sorry to bring it to an end there, but alas, our connection with the scientists who might have been able to tell us faded. Perhaps it was